Welcome, everyone, to episode 44 of the Southern Conservative Podcast. My name is Ty. With only one real podcast last week, it's time to hit the ground running. I want to start with James Comey and his book that will be hitting the shelves this week. But before I do, I want to start with Loretta Lynch, and you'll see why. Remember, during the Hillary Clinton email investigation, James Comey was the FBI director and Loretta Lynch was the Attorney General. Under ordinary circumstances, the FBI director would have presented findings to Loretta Lynch, who would decide whether to move forward with the prosecution. The decision whether to prosecute lies with the Attorney General, not the FBI director. And the findings of an FBI investigation is not something the director of the FBI would make public. But what did Comey do? On July 5, 2016, he concluded the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server and her mishandling of classified information. Although he went through a litany of extreme carelessness on the part of Clinton, he decided not to move forward with charges because there was no criminal intent, and a prosecutor would not move forward with a case like this, even though, as I just said, it's not Comey's decision to move forward or not. That decision rests with the Attorney General. Less than a week before Comey made his announcement, Loretta Lynch stated that she would take whatever recommendation Comey had, whether he would recommend prosecuting or not. A particular text message between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok described the courage Lynch had making that statement, because she knew Hillary was not going to be prosecuted. Of course, Strzok would know, because he helped to write Comey's exoneration statement months earlier. Now, why would Loretta Lynch take Comey's recommendation at face value and not make her own conclusions? Because she didn't want there to be the appearance of impropriety. On June 27, 2016, just days before her statement and just over a week before Comey's announcement, Lynch met with Bill Clinton on a tarmac at the airport in Phoenix, Arizona. Thankfully, there was a local reporter in the area who was tipped off about the meeting and was able to document it, or else we wouldn't even know about this. Now, the timing of that meeting, Lynch's statement, and Comey's statement is just too convenient. I'm sure Lynch was talking to Bill about the FBI and DOJ's decision to not prosecute Hillary. Doing so would have put an abrupt end to her presidential campaign. Yesterday, ABC aired its interview with James Comey, but before the interview, Loretta Lynch made her own statement. Part of that statement reads, "I have known James Comey almost 30 years. Throughout his time as director, we spoke regularly about some of the most sensitive issues in law enforcement and national security. If he had any concerns regarding the email investigation, classified or not, he had ample opportunities to raise them with me, both privately and in meetings. He never did." So Lynch and Comey spoke regularly about sensitive issues, but never raised any concerns about the Clinton investigation. Of course, this stems from what Comey has described and continues to describe. Is Loretta Lynch telling him to call the Hillary Clinton investigation a matter instead of an investigation, in order to give the public the appearance that this isn't a major deal within the FBI? Although Comey said this concerned him and he felt confused, he went along with the Attorney General's request. So maybe we are to believe Lynch that Comey didn't raise any concerns with her. But on the other hand, why would Comey, who many said was an honorable man until he exonerated Hillary, go along with the Attorney General if he had some legitimate concerns? Why didn't he stand his ground? Was it because Comey had already decided to exonerate Hillary? We know the exoneration statement was prepared several months before the investigation concluded, and key witnesses, including Hillary, were interviewed. We all know Comey and Lynch would have both preferred Hillary over Trump to be elected president. In fact, yesterday in the ABC interview, Comey said that Trump was morally unfit to be president. Here's a quote from the interview. Now, what I want you to do is listen to this quote and put yourself in the year 1998, 20 years ago, and then bring yourself back to today. Yesterday, Comey said, "A person who talks about and treats women like they're pieces of meat, who lies constantly about matters big and small, and insists the American people believe it, that person's not fit to be president of the United States on moral grounds." Now, in 1998, that would have fit Bill Clinton perfectly, treating women like they're pieces of meat. Well, we all remember Monica Lewinsky and Paula Jones and Kathleen Willey and Juanita Broaddrick and Jennifer Flowers, all while Bill was married to Hillary Clinton, and lies about it to the public, telling people he never had sexual relations with Monica, wagging his finger in front of the camera. Now, we know Trump has had affairs, and there was hush money paid to Stormy Daniels. That's true. Donald Trump was a celebrity and has been for many years. Of course, that doesn't excuse that kind of behavior. But he's not having oral sex with an intern in the White House while he's president of the United States. And Comey had to talk about the golden showers accusations made in the Christopher Steele dossier. And he talked about a conversation he had with President Trump. Now, let me ask you something. Do you think the president, who was actually president-elect at the time Comey talked about the dossier, appreciates this conversation being aired on national TV? Wouldn't you think there would be some sort of understanding that when you have a conversation between the FBI director and the president-elect of the United States, that conversation would be kept confidential? Anyway, here's what Comey had to say about that conversation he had with Trump concerning this part of the dossier. "He may want me to investigate it to prove that it didn't happen. And then he says something that distracted me because he said, if there's even a 1% chance my wife thinks this is true, that's terrible." And I remember thinking, how could your wife think there's a 1% chance you were with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow? I'm a flawed human being, but there is literally zero chance that my wife would think that was true. So what kind of marriage, to what kind of man does your wife think that there is only a 99% chance you didn't do that? Now let me stop right there. What the hell was Trump supposed to think? Here you have the FBI director telling Trump that the FBI has information that he was in Moscow and he had hookers urinate on a bed. If the FBI has been made aware of this, or if they are aware of this information floating around, Trump has to think word of this could get out to the media, which it did. Once Comey briefed Trump on the dossier, it gave the dossier legitimacy. Otherwise, why would the FBI bother telling Trump about it? And that's when the media ran away with the dossier, starting with CNN and BuzzFeed. We know that James Clapper, former director of national intelligence, leaked the dossier to CNN, and BuzzFeed published the entire dossier. It would be natural for Trump to worry what Melania would think. If the FBI is informing the president of this, Melania might think there's something legitimate here, and Trump has a lot of explaining to do. So Trump would want the FBI to find out if there is any truth to this, and there's not. But more importantly, Trump wants to find out where all of this came from. Comey said that Trump then told him, "I may order you to investigate that." I said, "Sir, that's up to you, but you'd want to be very careful about that, because it might create a narrative that we're investigating you personally, and second, it's very difficult to prove something that didn't happen." You want to talk about a self-serving SOB. So Comey says that if he moves forward with an investigation, the public would feel the FBI was investigating Trump personally. Now, Comey is right that it's nearly impossible to prove something that didn't happen. But Trump needs the FBI to be confident that this never did happen, so that the FBI can counter any rumors out there in the media about hookers urinating on a bed. So Trump's put into an impossible position here. He has to have the FBI investigate this, and more importantly, to find out where this information came from. because Trump knows it's not true. Not having the FBI investigate this makes it appear that Trump is admitting it happened. But here's the real slimy part in all of this. The conversation happened in January 2017. That dossier had already been used 3 months earlier in October 2016 to help secure a FISA warrant against Carter Page, which is just a gateway to be able to spy on other members of Trump's team, and possibly Trump himself. And Comey admits that the investigation into Trump-Russia collusion began back in July 2016. So now Comey can come forward and say, well, Trump wanted me to do this investigation. What a weasel. Now, I'm not going to waste your time with other quotes from the interview or from the book. The bottom line is this book is totally self-serving to Comey to try and make it seem that it was Loretta Lynch and President Obama that put him in a difficult position when investigating Hillary Clinton and her email server. You would think Comey is the victim in all of this, when in fact Comey is central to the reason why Hillary was let off the hook. Here's a quote from Comey's book that was obtained by the Washington Examiner, and it concerns President Obama. To give some context, the president had remarked that it was a mistake for Hillary to use her private email server, and that Hillary had been careless but did not do anything to intentionally harm national security. Comey writes in his book, President Obama is a very smart man who understands the law very well. To this day, I don't know why he spoke about the case publicly and seemed to absolve her before a final determination was made. If the president had already decided the matter, an outside observer would reasonably wonder how on earth could his Department of Justice do anything other than to follow his lead. Well, sir, that's exactly what you were doing. You decided to exonerate Hillary before even getting to the heart of the investigation. Comey can't pin this on Obama. It's up to him to honorably run the FBI and to see to it that no one is above the law, and everyone, including a presidential candidate, will be investigated properly. Comey is a very dishonorable man, and when the book hits the shelves and he starts his book tour, we're going to find out just how dishonorable he really is. I want to remind everyone to please check out my Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/Southern Conservative. That's facebook.com/Southern Conservative. There you will find links to conservative news articles on stories you may not hear about in the mainstream media. Plus, if you follow the news feed, you'll find links to the daily podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and click on the notifications bell. You'll be alerted each time a new podcast has been posted. New podcasts are posted daily, Monday through Thursday. Now, I've just shown you how dishonorable the former FBI director was. And now it's time to tackle his deputy, Andrew McCabe. On Friday, Inspector General Michael Horowitz released a pretty damning report detailing why McCabe was fired. Now, as bad as the media wants to tie this to President Trump, this firing has absolutely nothing to do with Trump. McCabe's firing was solely because of his actions. The Office of Professional Responsibility made the recommendation to fire McCabe, and McCabe was later fired. McCabe himself has said that he had the authority to tell the Wall Street Journal that the FBI was conducting an investigation into the Clinton Foundation. The Inspector General acknowledges that McCabe did indeed have this authorization, but McCabe did not tell this to the Wall Street Journal so that it would benefit the public. He did so it would benefit himself. Here's the backstory. On October 23, 2016, the Wall Street Journal came out with a report that Andrew McCabe's wife had received contributions to her Virginia State Senate campaign from PACs tied to Hillary Clinton's friend Terry McAuliffe. Of course, Andrew McCabe was heavily involved in the Clinton email investigation, and the Wall Street Journal questioned whether he had a conflict of interest and whether he could remain impartial during this investigation. It turns out he did not recuse himself from the investigation until November 1st, when he should have recused himself from the beginning. Anyway, on October 30th, the Wall Street Journal writes a story with information supplied to them by Andrew McCabe to say that the Department of Justice was unhappy about the investigation into the Clinton Foundation, but that the FBI was going to continue the investigation anyway. So McCabe told the Wall Street Journal that the FBI would investigate the Clinton Foundation after the newspaper published a story just 1 week prior that McCabe had a conflict of interest when it came to investigating Hillary. McCabe leaked to the Wall Street Journal to save his own ass. The Inspector General said that the FBI Director James Comey did not feel McCabe had leaked the information, and McCabe told investigators that he did tell Comey that he disclosed the information and went on to say that Comey thought it was a good idea. The report finds Comey's version of the events to be more accurate. In other words, McCabe wasn't telling the truth to the investigators. McCabe has also lied multiple times to investigators within the FBI's inspection division, saying he didn't know who the source of the leak was, or who was in communication with a top DOJ official not wanting to further pursue the Foundation investigation. Yet he told investigators with the Inspector General's office that he did not believe that he denied knowing who disclosed the information. So McCabe got caught up in a tangled web of lies, and that was ultimately his undoing. McCabe was every bit as self-serving as his boss, James Comey. Now there's a bigger point to all of this. Comey and McCabe, both fired from their positions. Are these the kind of people you want heading up the nation's investigation bureau? The FBI is supposed to be nonpartisan. Justice is supposed to be blind. We can't have political hacks like Comey and McCabe running the FBI. These two men were able to weaponize the FBI against Donald Trump and fix an investigation in order to exonerate Hillary Clinton so she could continue running for president. Where they went wrong was their overconfidence in Hillary winning the 2016 presidential election. And now with Trump as president, all of these scandals and all of the players in these scandals are being exposed. We're all still waiting the Inspector General's report that will detail how the FBI and DOJ handled the Clinton email investigation, and Comey and McCabe were very central figures in that investigation. It's not going to look too good for these men once that report comes out. I want to wrap up with some personal news. R. Lee Ermey died Sunday morning. This former Marine drill instructor, known for his role as Sergeant Hartman in the movie Full Metal Jacket, died from pneumonia complications in Santa Monica, California. This man was someone truly special, a dedicated veteran, and a big Second Amendment supporter. I think what we all loved was his personality, and he will be greatly missed. Former First Lady Barbara Bush, who is 92 years old, will no longer be seeking active medical treatment for COPD and congestive heart failure. She has accepted to only receive palliative or comfort care. Our thoughts and prayers are with the entire Bush family during this difficult time. And that will do it for today. I didn't have time to get into Friday night's attack on Syria. I'll talk about that tomorrow. I hope you'll join me then for another podcast. Have a great day, everybody.